Hello, 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 everyone. My name is Valerie Harris, and this is your Stepping Up and Stepping Out series that airs every Tuesday, guys, at 7 o'clock p.m. And like I tell you all every week, this program and this series has been designed just for you, to inspire you, to encourage you, and to empower its listeners to, guess what? Step up and step out of your comfort zone. And as an author and life purpose empowerment coach and business consultant, I help women in leadership and entrepreneurs to build a business that will create financial freedom, a healthy lifestyle so that they can leave a legacy. And we have a wonderful guest with us today. And I want to tell you a little bit about her before I bring her to the screen. Her name is Dr. Tawana Smith. She is an award-winning sports manager, filmmaker, best-selling author, and speaker. She specializes in business advisory services and professional development for athletes and sports. And she's also, for over 15 years, she was a professional basketball player and has worked with more than 50 professional athletes and coaches. And Smith is also an inspirational speaker, having led keynote speeches with the NFL, the Black Student Athlete Summit, and the 2002 Ole Miss MBA commencement. And I'm so excited that she accepted to come on and talk with us. And what we're going to do tonight, we're going to talk about tips on balancing entrepreneurship, career, and sports. And this is what Tawana and myself will be talking about tonight. So look, go get some paper, go get something to drink, because we're about to embark upon something great this evening. So I'm going to bring her to the screen right now. Hello, Tawana.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so glad that you decided to come out here and be with us on Real Talk with Talk Time Val.
Yes, I would not miss this. I always get excited when I can talk about business and sport, but also to humanize that experience as a mom. So I'm excited about the conversation tonight.
I love it. I love it. And so I like it that you have worked and have been featured in the LA Times Festival of Books. What is that all about?
Yes, so this was such an amazing experience. I published my first book. I have two. Actually, I have one here, Surviving the Lights. And it was developed from my life work with athletes and just understanding them, and that they don't often realize some of the business elements of the sport industry and some of the things they should be concerned with. And so I wanted to create a work that served as a blueprint for aspiring professional athletes so that they have a holistic view of success at the highest level. And so I got an invitation from the LA Times Festival of Books to present my book. I got a chance to talk about it on the stage, and
Wow.
It was an incredible experience. Yeah.
I bet so. And then what about Forbes and other media outlets that you've been on? That had to be
Yes,
exciting, I know.
for sure. I found a natural niche in this space. You don't typically have a degree program to become a sport manager in the sense that I was as an entrepreneur. And so being a former professional athlete and then working with professional athletes, I have a unique perspective of gaps that exist in their professional team. So you have agents, you have financial professionals and other people that they work with, but you often don't have the glue connecting those dots for the athlete, right? Because that's a lot for them to juggle. And so I found a niche there. And I've been fortunate throughout my career to have national media take notice and want to share some of the elements of my business model. So it's been an exciting ride.
That's awesome. And I was looking at one of your books about the guiding your athletes to wealth and the best mental health. What was that? I know that had to be very good for our athletes, because I'm quite sure, they have the same issues everyone else have with different career vocations that they have. So what was that all about?
For sure. So my first work was for the athlete. And to get them to think about some of the business elements, the people they have around them, how they create their legacy. But I also noticed that the people in my position in a non-traditional support role, but then those more traditional support structures, they don't really have a lot of guidance either on
Right.
how to, guide, develop, educate, and enhance the life of an elite athlete. And
Right.
so I laid out this 3-step process that can apply to any elite athlete, that can help a coach, a parent, even of an athlete, any type of sports professional, manager, to help them understand the role that they play in enhancing their platform. So that one is for the professionals. And again, this is me identifying gaps and
Yes.
finding a solution to fill the gap.
So I love it that, you were a professional athlete, right? And
Yes.
so how did the entrepreneurial piece come into play?
Yeah. Honestly, athletes make amazing entrepreneurs.
I
We
know
have a
they do.
certain skill set that is like, it's just a natural fit. And that's something I'm encouraging them to explore, even in high school and college. But again, I like to think that the Lord created this opportunity and he dropped those things in my spirit to pursue them. I am naturally a people person, and
I
I do
love it.
very well when I'm connecting with people and just listening and getting to their level, but I'm also a critical thinker. And so I do a really good job of pulling together pieces of information and just kind of finding synergy, collaboration, teamwork. And that's what I have ended up doing, connecting dots. But from an advisory perspective,
Hmm.
for my clients, there's some things they can't see because they're so engaged and it's so noisy, right? That's the thing we don't
Yeah.
always realize. It's very noisy when you're
Noise.
in what I call the lights, right? You've got to play, you've got the media, you've got your family, you have all these things going on. Sometimes it's hard to manage the business aspects and give it the attention it deserves. And so I found a niche there, connecting those dots and helping these young men and women develop into better professionals, but better people as well.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And so, Dr. T, as a professional basketball player, I know that had to be exciting.
Yes,
So,
it was an
those
incredible
experience,
experience.
I know you'll never forget them. So how was that, just being a professional basketball player?
Yeah, it was amazing. I always, tell people if you've never, first of all, some people never get out of their hometowns, but like if you can ever travel outside of the country, do it. All right. You've got to have that
Yes.
on your bucket list because it will shift your perspective about so many
Yes.
things that we take for granted in the way that we live our lives. I had a cousin, and I have to shout him out because I'm so eternally grateful for him exposing me to this life. Marcus Brown, he's now a coach at Murray State University, his alma mater. He's a basketball coach, but he played in the NBA. And so I come from a sport family because we supported him. We were on the road with the t-shirts and confetti. And so it gave me a glimpse of the life from the business perspective, but then it also gave me a glimpse of the life as a pro athlete. And I wanted to play. And it just so happened the WNBA was coming into formation, as I was coming up. And he was integral in taking me under his wing, allowing me to train with his trainer, get in shape, connect with an agent. And I got my first opportunity to play in Holland. And it was an amazing experience. I met some amazing people. I learned a lot about a different culture, and it's just something that I really cherish. I really do.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So let's dive into some of the questions. Let's start by talking about the Balling Abroad documentary. What is that? What does that entail?
So one of my clients and I, who was also an NBA player, he's played in Europe and in China most recently, where he's won 3 championships. We had a conversation. He's always wanted to produce a documentary about his life.
Uh-huh.
We have worked together 15 years, so you can imagine some of the things that we've grown through and seen.
Right.
And as he's talking about some of the challenges, I'm just thinking how much how the themes that I'm hearing with other clients, right?
Right.
Particularly female clients. And this was something I was very adamant about including in this documentary. And so we decided to do a documentary. And while he's playing, he gave me full creative control
Wow.
of some of the things we talked about because, I have a broader perspective being a female athlete, but also
Right.
working alongside the male experience.
Right.
But we thought that it was necessary to tell these stories of American athletes who find themselves pursuing their dreams to play outside the US. And sometimes we, as the common fan, we don't think about the world of basketball that exists outside of America.
Right.
So it was very interesting to hear some of the challenges these players overcame to experience their triumphs. And they need to be humanized. They go through things just like we do. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Hello, Linda out there. Just want to speak to those that are out there right now. And Dr. Gloria, how are you all doing today? Shout out to you guys.
Yay.
Yay, yay, yay. And so being a filmmaker, and that really excited me when I saw that you were a filmmaker. I said, wow, this is awesome right here. So
Yeah.
how did all of that, I guess that came into play with the documentary, right?
It did. So initially, we just wanted to tell the story,
Okay.
right? There, things related to money, contracts, being away from home, parenting abroad, mental health issues that you struggle with being in a foreign country. But then it developed from there, just connecting with people who really put it on our radar. You guys could turn this into something.
Right.
And so, surprisingly, COVID happened. So
Yeah.
we filmed this in China in 2019, December of 2019. The end of January, they shut down borders. So for that community of athletes, they had no idea if they were going to have a job or, their
Wow. Yeah.
career was going to shift. And so we sat on this thing and we continued to develop it. We had to switch editors a couple of times, which was a very interesting experience because this is our first film. And so I learned a lot, let's say that, about editing and choosing music and just, storylines and all of that.
The splicing,
But
because I'm quite sure the splice here and all of
yes,
that. And
it was a lot. And then I have experience dealing with athletes. So I understand that, once the seasons got started, when they're in go mode and they're playing, it's
mhm.
oftentimes very difficult to capture their attention, right? With this level of detail. And so I'm like waiting for return text messages and calls. I'm like, oh my gosh, we got to get this done. But here we are 3.5 years later. We have won awards at several film festivals.
Wow.
For our writing, our concept, the overall documentary, our directing. And so we actually have a film festival to attend in Orlando in a few days. And
Oh,
it's just
that's
been an
exciting.
amazing experience. I mean, just amazing, just
I'm so
grateful.
proud to know you. That is so awesome. Look, like I said, I interviewed Dr. T on my
Dr.
show.
T. Yes, and that's new. I'm still getting used to that. I just became Dr. T a week ago, maybe.
Amen.
Maybe.
Listen.
So,
That's awesome. I
yeah,
celebrate you.
God is good. Thank you.
Yeah,
I
I
appreciate
received
it.
my doctorate last summer. So
Yes,
I'm new
congratulations.
to it too, but God is good.
He is. He is.
Yeah, that was not on my radar, but God had it on his. So
He had another plan. His plan is always the best plan.
his
So,
plan is
yeah.
always the best plan. Yes, yes, yes. Hello, Sherman, and hello, Tandra. Tandra, I think is out there. Hello,
Yeah.
guys. How are you all doing out there tonight? We're glad to have you as we talk about Dr. T's experiences. And like I said, with both of your books and all the things you're doing to help the athletes with mental health, and one of those topics that you had, what's the name of one of those topics was a professional athlete's playbook to avoiding curse and plan to. Now that let's talk about that just a little bit too.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah. Yeah. So, um, oftentimes, and again, I'm just looking for holes that need
right?
to be filled because our athletes, particularly our Black athletes, they are such conduits of change in our
Mm-hmm.
community.
Yes,
Right. I mean, they are inspirational. They're heroes to a lot of kids.
yes,
Um, to teach them ways that they can achieve levels of success, particularly if they come from disadvantaged backgrounds. And so they're key. They're key in the Black community. And
yeah.
so what I wanted to do was to fill the gaps around some of the mistakes that they make, right? We see
Mm-hmm.
the news and media, and we see those things highlighted. And what we don't always realize is that oftentimes you're teaching young athletes what they are to become, and they'll begin to, carry out those lived experiences of the flash and some of the domestic violence and the poor. And we don't even realize how that gets in your subconscious, right? So I wanted to counter that, right? With not just telling them what to do, but teaching them how to do it, right? So throughout my first book, I have a chapter for so many topics related to money issues, who should be on your team, how you deal with taxes, dealing with your mental health, to literally walk them through a very easy guide. I mean, you can read it on a flight,
Right,
right?
right.
Of not just some things you need to be concerned with, but here's the steps that you need to take to have your plan in place for how you'll navigate those options. The cool thing about this is that it speaks the sports language, right? And so, what athlete doesn't want to read a sports center book? But it does give you practical advice that will help you in whatever field that you find yourself.
So,
So,
yeah.
I'm very, very excited about empowering our elite athletes. So.
That is awesome. I think that that is just such a beautiful thing to do to help them because they really need that guidance. Hello, Leah. How are you? Glad to see you out there. Yes, I just think that that's a beautiful thing. You know, you're working with young people, trying to put them on the right path because so many of them are just swayed in the wrong direction. So when they have the sports and they have something that they're focused on, it helps them to be more grounded. And then to have someone that can coach them along the way, someone that can be there for them, to be a sounding board, because we all need that.
We
And so
do.
to be a young person to have that, that is just phenomenal.
It is. It is. And
Yeah.
raising two small children myself, my son is very active in sport. It gives me a different type of perspective in my ability to empathize, connect with them, to understand them. I also believe in this age of the Black woman becoming more educated, I feel like we have a special place in the lives of some of our most vulnerable Black athletes. Okay. And it's just something special when you're a part of that community, that culture. You ain't got to explain it. Okay. We don't have to go, you don't have to say a word, right? I already know it. I feel it, right? But it's my job just naturally, okay,
Right.
to want to protect and help you put yourself in the best situation to succeed. So I'm extremely passionate
I
about
can
that.
tell.
Male
I can
and female.
tell. I
I
love
get
it.
really excited.
I love it. I love it. So listen, let's talk a few minutes about the Pro Ready workshop that you normally do.
Yep. Something else the Lord dropped in my spirit while I work with professional athletes and I've mentored collegiate athletes and work with different institutions. Why not start younger while these young people are in high school? Right? Because if you think about it, they're being forced to make some very sophisticated, decisions
Decisions.
at a young age. And so when I began my research at the University of Memphis in 2020 around this development experience, I found that NIL came out and you have these kids, they're making money choices. Even though if it's scholarships, it's still about money.
Yes.
And so I wanted to create programming at the high school level to
Mm-hmm.
assist many of our administrators and educators in engaging these young people. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Before we tap out, before we lose them. Okay.
That's right.
Engage you in a way through sports, but give you some professional development, some insight, some hands-on practice in some areas that will serve you no matter where you go after high school.
Right.
And we have had great success. So I actually launched this before COVID.
Okay.
We had to take a break. Of course, the high schools closed down and we went through that process and then we're back. We just had our first cohort go through after COVID. And it's been amazing. The kids, the relationships that we create with these students, they just want to see someone cares. Our
Right.
educators are amazing, but they're overwhelmed.
Yes.
Right? They
Yeah,
are
they
overwhelmed.
are. They are.
And
They
so
are.
again, what I do, connect dots. And that's what we're doing in the same realm at the high school level through this sport experience. So
Now, do you travel with those Pro Ready workshops?
yes. And so we are in the process of getting this into a multitude of districts for
Okay.
this next fall semester. So I'm so excited about that. But yes, I typically do the traveling, but we do engage the local personnel because they have the relationships with the student athletes. So yeah, wherever
We
we
have
need
some
to be,
we
that's where
have
we
some comments coming in here. We have some people
are.
out here listening to us. And listen, is this
Yeah,
one of your babies out here?
I'm not sure.
Marcia?
I am seeing. Yes, that's my sister. Hey.
Oh, that's your sister. Okay. Hello,
Yes.
hello, hello, hello. Wonderful. Yes, yes, yes. That is awesome. Yes,
Yeah.
and listen, guys, this is Dr. T's information if you want to get in contact with her. And I'll also put up her website so that you can go to her website, her email. So we'll be flashing that, guys, across the screen so that you
Yes.
all will know how to get in contact with her to talk with her further if you'd like to. And I'm just loving all of this. So
Thank
let's
you.
get to talking about some tips that you've used for balancing your life, as a full-time mom, as being in sports. your
Yeah.
life in general, because I know it's hard. And I talk about balance a lot because that's something a lot of times we don't think about putting ourselves into place for the balance. We leave
Yeah.
ourselves out. So this is really good when I saw where you were talking about balancing all of that because you're leading such an exciting life and you gotta have balance to keep your
Yes.
mental health straight.
Yes, for sure. And I'm learning. I'm still learning. It's a work in progress. One thing though I have
No,
implemented
me
over the
too.
last yeah, so we never get it. Okay. We just keep trying. We just wake up every day and keep trying to get it right. um,
Yes.
but one thing I've implemented over the last couple of years, particularly after COVID, right? I'm a former athlete. So I still think like an athlete. And I'm just realizing, okay, I mean, I bounce back as quickly as I'm used to, but that's okay. We're going to keep plugging away. So I have taken a different approach to my health,
Okay.
which has helped me to put boundaries in place in my
Yes.
business. Okay.
Yes.
So I do keep business hours. And if it's not an emergency, there are things that I can push to the next day. There was a time that I was, everything in the sports world, particularly when you're dealing with players who are in an international space, you got the time difference, you got all kind of things going on. It can be intense, all right, because it's not traditional in any means. Okay. You're
Right.
getting calls all times of the night for all types of things. But I have learned to put boundaries in that respect. And my clients, I appreciate so much because they're so respectful of that. I'm a mother before I am anything else. Okay.
Yes.
And
Yes.
everyone knows that. So those type of boundaries, I am active. So I'm working out. I got a trainer. And those
Look,
things help me.
I need something.
Yeah, get you a trainer now. Cause see, we'll
Yeah.
lie to ourselves and we'll slide out of it, but you get
Yeah.
somebody to coach you on it.
Yeah.
But I also try to make my children a part of what I do, right? As
Right.
much as I can, so that I'm not always having to choose. And so I take them along on some of my events when I'm handling business. I think it's so enriching for them because
Yes.
they get an opportunity to learn. We travel a lot. And
Right.
so people are always like, your children are so confident. They speak so well. But they're in those
Because you've
environments.
exposed them. You're exposing them. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exposure, right? And I've learned firsthand how important that is. So, and getting my sleep. That's the last thing. I go to sleep. That sleep focus on my phone is one of the most important inventions ever made because when it goes on, I will get those notifications tomorrow.
Right.
But
So
it's
you
still a
basically
struggle.
shut it all down.
Shut it down. I have to shut it down.
And and like you said, when you're talking about family, family is very important. And at their age, they're so very, very
Yeah.
impressionable. So
Yeah.
you have to spend that time with them,
Mhm.
so that the experiences that they gain from being with you is
Yeah.
lifelong. It's stuff that they will
Yeah.
never forget. They're being properly raised as children and staying in a child's place, but still
Right.
being exposed
Yeah.
to the things of the world and know how to say no to things that are
Yes.
not right,
Yes.
or things that know how to say yes to things that are right, because it's a lot of things out there that are
Yeah.
very influential to our children. And so that is I love it that you spend that time. We have to, parents have to spend that time with their children,
Yes.
especially as far as their education is concerned, because it is very vital, because that
Yes.
pandemic really did a lot
It
to
did.
our children.
It did. It did. And
Yeah.
more than anything, I keep saying, humanize this experience. I know these individuals and, are so successful in many ways. People feel like I'm very successful. But we're still human. Okay. We
Yeah.
still have the challenges just like everyone else. And so
Everybody else.
keep that in the conversation. I encourage my clients, you got stuff with, hey, your kids, family, spouse, that comes first. Handle your business first, and we'll deal with this other stuff later. So,
Yes,
yes, I
you got to tell them that they need to handle that. We have to handle our business all and be balanced all the way around.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
true. That's true.
And a statement that I read, I think I saw this on your website. I loved it, where you said, "I really love how you help athletes win outside the line."
Yes. I tell them all the time, I don't care what you do. I hardly watch my clients play. right? And sometimes
Really?
people are like, what? Huh? Yeah, because I see them as a person. And so in order for that to be authentic in some of the things that I'm trying to teach them, I have to live that. Now, I appreciate you being a successful athlete because it does help us leverage other things, about
Yeah.
yourself.
Yes.
But you got enough people worrying about that. You got coaches, you got agents, you have all these different people worried about what you're doing on the field and on the court. But outside of that, okay, I have my hands full juggling everything else from, your accountant relationships to some of the legal needs that you have, running your businesses, your nonprofit, ensuring your family relations are in order so that you aren't carrying that stress, helping you balance your mental health, right? And find
Yes.
time to rest, pitching your brain. Like I could go on with the things on my plate that oftentimes I don't get to sit and just watch a 2-hour game through because my phone's going off. I've got things I've got to do. So
Yeah.
yeah, got to
It's
do what you got to
beautiful.
do.
Beautiful. And the last thing about your scholarship fund, how did that come about, your scholarship fund? I wanted to talk to you about
Yes.
that.
So, I feel like we all, if we haven't already, will get to a point where it's only so much getting you can do, right?
Yeah.
You do the work, you receive, you get the recognition. And while those things are great, that's not the true reward, right? But at some point you are moved, or you should be moved to want to give back and pay it forward. It ain't
Yeah.
all got to be about you. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
And so this is my way to contribute back to the game, particularly for young girls in sports. So my entire career, for the most part, I've worked with male athletes, right? There have been gaps there that I think the Lord has called me to fill. But what I found in that process was that I was inspiring young girls and young women in sport. And so I started in my hometown area wanting to support a young girl's dreams to go on and get her education, because that is most important, right? Go learn all you can, gather all the knowledge that you can. And now this past year, I've opened it up across the entire state of Arkansas. So
Wow.
all graduating girls basketball players can apply. We give out 2 scholarships this year. I've given out over $7,000 over the
Wow.
last couple of years.
That's
And just
good.
a small way to support their efforts. If they're going
But
to
it's,
go, I'm going to try to do what I can to help
look,
support
listen,
their dreams.
every little bit counts. You hear me?
It does. Because
And
it's
it's a
expensive.
blessing. And the parents look at it as a blessing because that's adding on to and maybe
Yeah.
causing them not to pay back as much. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that is
Even with
just
scholarships, it's expensive for sure. So this is just my contribution to the game in a way that I can give back and support another young girl's dreams in sport.
your sister's hollering out to you. That is good.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is
Yes.
good.
Yes.
Yes. And then Gail Lacey. Hello, Gail. Guys, it's so nice that you all have come out here to join us. And I just want to thank you, Dr. T, for coming and being
Thank you.
interviewed on my show. This has been a blessing to us
Yes.
and those that have come on the show tonight. So I'm just so happy that you decided to say yes.
Yes, I appreciate you asking me again. I get very excited when I can share, hopefully inspire, but more than anything, give praise to God, because none of this would be, if it were not for Him and those seeds that He's deposited, into my life. So
And what we
appreciate it.
have is not for us, it's for us to impart and help others.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing with those athletes. And I think it's just a beautiful, beautiful story that of your life and what you're doing. So just keep up the good work. And guys, if you want to get in contact with her, I also have her information in the description on Facebook and also on YouTube, because this can be seen also on YouTube. And so I'll be talking to you in a few more minutes. Okay.
Okay.
So thank you again, and I'll see you in a few more minutes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, you all listen. We have had Dr. T up here with us. Dr. Tawana Smith, professional athlete, has come and shared with us this evening, and that has just been an awesome, awesome thing. And listen, it's time for Talk Time Val to sign out. But before I go, guys, listen. This is the new book that we have out, a group of us, beautiful women of God. The name of the book is Influencers Stepping Out in Boldness. So make sure you go to my webpage, www.talktimeval, and you can purchase that book from my website, or you can go to pay hip and get it. So there are different places that you can go and get this book. Come on and support these ladies. They stepped out in boldness and wrote a chapter in this book, and we collaborated together. No one can tell me that women can't work together and empower one another. And it's all about us as women empowering each other to be the best that we can be. Okay. So listen, Talk Time Val is about to sign out, but I will be talking to you a little bit later. Okay. So you all be blessed, and I will see you a little bit later. And let me pull something else off the screen, because I got stuff showing all on the screen and all of that. So I'm operating all these things behind the scenes. So listen, I'll be talking to you a little bit later. Talk Time Val, I'm out. Think about this. Embracing your passion will give you the drive, new mind shift, and motivation to leave a lasting legacy that will positively impact future generations. Imagine having the confidence to pursue your passion while stepping out with purpose, unlocking your hidden potential. Here at Stepping Out with Purpose Company, we create clarity by cultivating a brand that offers the necessary tools, resources, strategic planning, and training to help women leaders and entrepreneurs to succeed in their personal and professional development. And working with us, our clients successfully gain stability, become more resilient in facing challenges and obstacles, expand their mindset, and are open to new opportunities that create multiple streams of income. We do this by offering a leadership development coaching program, business consulting, book collaboration and publishing, speaking, and the Stepping Up and Stepping Out series talk show with Talk Time Val. I am Valerie Harris, and I am the CEO and owner of Stepping Out with Purpose.